I've played Remedy games. I know the tone in the world so well that I'm like, yep, I get it. Yep, I get it.
As we get to see Kiran for the very first time, how's that shot?
The physical performance capture that had already been shot, I have to match to that. I've been a part of a lot of things, and sometimes you get cut out. Like that happened on God of War for me. I need the VR experience of that. Let me just text him really fast. Okay, so I'm doing Abhi's podcast. I'm just like... Abhi, happy belated Diwali.
Happy belated Diwali to you too. I'm dressed
Especially
up for the
since
occasion.
we're talking about light over dark, using light in the darkness. You know.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh my God, it's so cool to play the DLC, and it's amazing to go
We
back.
call it an expansion.
An expansion.
We call it an expansion.
True that.
Well, just
And-
because it also is like now it's connected to the story, right? So you can when I'm like sitting on a desk and I'm like, I had a really bad day. You want to hear? Like you actually get to hear why she was kind of a bitch to you when she first met you. You know, not a great day. But these things really are like story expansions. So they're like less of a DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Because if anybody plays now, and they can actually, it feels like it's a one single game, because then it connects to Lake House and comes back
right.
to the main game, which is cool, amazing. Just Remedy doing stuff, which is amazing. And in 2016, when I go back in time, we did a live reading of Time Knife.
I did. Yeah.
And was that a try to poke at Remedy to be like, I want to be a part of the universe?
No. I loved Quantum Break. That was the first Remedy game that I played. And Marshall Allman is a friend, and I 100%ed it and was like, and of course, so I found the 3 acts of Time Knife. And Tyler, the writer, lived in LA at the time. And I think I found anybody that I could, and then I was like, we should just come over and do this. And then I think I may have sent him, maybe Marshall, somebody told somebody at Remedy, and then, but I would have done it whether they noticed or not. I'm a real fan, as everybody should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's so cool to know that you're such a fan of Remedy, and Quantum Break, such an awesome game. And from there, the Control, Alan Wake, and I got to know Remedy from Max Payne. So I've been playing since Max Payne 2 and just going crazy with the ride. But what was your initial reaction when you got to know that you are going to be part of Alan Wake 2?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, listen, I've been a part of a lot of things, and sometimes you get cut out, and like that happened on God of War for me. I was played this beautiful character, and I had the most wonderful time doing it. And then I got a call from Eric, and I actually had a feeling, and he was like, wait, are you psychic? I was like, it happens, cuts happen in games all the time. They happen in movies all the time. And so I never really get my heart set on anything. In this case, by that point, I had become friends with Sam. So sometimes, I'm now so lucky to be so embedded in the games industry that to me, it's not even about whether I get to be an actor in something or not. It really is just like, I love the games industry. I love developers so much. So just being in proximity to them is kind of like enough, I never even was like, I think they all knew, like, yeah, this chick is really she's definitely going to want to be in these. She's going to say yes if we ask her, Yeah. So Sam was like, I have an idea for something that might work. I'll talk to you about it. But it was like months later that we were going to talk. And I was like, okay, I'm not, So then when I found out that this character was going to exist in Alan Wake 2, but specifically that she was an FBC agent, I 100%ed Control as well. I was like, oh my God. Like I got so excited because I am highly aware of the Remedy extended universe. So I know that she can fit everywhere. And he wasn't just telling me something that was like, we have a little, funny bit for you to do, which I would have happily done anyway. This is somebody who can fit anywhere. And I mean, you get that call and you're just like, oh my God. The dreams, they've come true. Yeah. I was in a Twitch stream watching somebody play, and somebody called the expansion, the Lake House expansion, Control 1.5.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God. I was so excited to see that.
Oh my God. I remember when the Lake House expansion was even announced, with the fact that there would be 2 expansions, and everybody was like, Lake House has to be the connective tissue to Control 2. It has to be. And that was the case. And when they came out, everybody mentioned like, it's Control 1.5, guys.
Well, so. A bunch of smarties out there.
Yeah. The community is just wild to figuring out everything. And it's just so insane. And with the expansion, the second expansion coming out, what was your anticipation level? Was there something that you were nervous about, like, okay, will people like it or not? And were those things in your mind when it was supposed to be coming out?
I mean, you always want people to love something as much as you do, no matter what. But I had a little less fear with this one. It is so lore based, and I'm one of those people who picks up every single thing and looks at every single object and walks around and takes it all in. So you don't feel so much like in a Remedy game, as opposed to something like, a Star Wars, like that is a totally different kind of pressure. Remedy is such a specific kind of high strangeness. And it's so special on its own that you can just kind of like get in where you fit in. You don't feel like you have to put the entire thing on your shoulders,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm glad, because Remedy just makes such incredible games, and Alan Wake 2 was like one of the biggest games, probably the biggest game right now. And I told this to Sam when I had him on the podcast, like, whatever games you guys make, it becomes my favorite, everybody else's favorite. It's just how it is. It just has to be. And it's so cool too. I'm just in love with Alan Wake 2. How much have you finished playing Alan Wake 2? Is that something that you still working
towards? Yeah. Of course I did. No, I finished it, and yeah. When Night Springs came out, I, played it immediately, and yeah. Wow. And then I played the Lake House.
Yes. It's so amazing. And, when did you figure out, like, in the process of making this game, what was the time when you found out that, okay, the expansion, you're going to be leading the expansion to the Lake House?
I don't even know. I mean, Sam called me and told me that. And I guess it's so funny. These things kind of, they don't hit you. Or maybe it's just that I've been doing this long enough that they don't hit me hard, because things change so quickly. Like they could tell me something 6 months before I'm in a booth, but they might realize that it's better as a two-hander, or it's better if you just don't know, and it's not about me. So, I just kind of say, all right, tell me when it's time for me to really step in, And then of course there's questions and thoughts and all those exciting collaborative things. But I think he told me we're going to do the story of her day, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, because I didn't know what happened. I just knew like the specific point of view that I walked in with when you first meet Kiran in the base game, but I didn't know what happened to her in the day. I was kind of basing all of that on her experience as an FBC officer thus far.
Same. I think when I found her in the first game, like in the base game, I thought like, okay, well, that's how she experienced before, how she has been experiencing, and that's why she's like that. And I saw one of the comments where someone was saying like, I did not like Kiran when I first saw her in the base game because she took Saga and she took Alan Wake away and all that. But now with the expansion,
I get it. I like her a lot. Right? I get it. Yeah.
I get it. I want it now.
Yeah.
It's so cool how it all connects. But I wanna just go back in time a little bit, because when you finally found out you're in the game, I wonder what it must be for you, like when you first stepped in your first day of session, And what was the feeling like at that time? Is that a lot of excitement, or like a mix of everything else and together, and you have to keep everything?
It was the best. So in the base game, I did that all in London. So I flew in and I was jet lagged off my ass. But the first day or the first night, I don't even know. Meanwhile, Sam is there, but he's working on so many different things at the same time, and he's in the game. It's insane. His workload it's too much. I don't know how he lives, but he was there. So we got to hang out and he showed me everything thus far. So I got to see art. I got to see some cutscenes. I got to see a lot of things to help me step into it. But, in my case, I've played Remedy games. I know the tone in the world so well that I'm like, yep, I get it. Yep, I get it. So, for me in that moment, it was like I landed and I was like, okay, how do I do this? Oh, no, get your shit together, girl. You're just like hoping you don't screw up the next day. And then, it's very lucky to be friends with the people that you're working with. So, I would say it was like an easy step in. And then we had to make some changes because I had to change some of it was almost like doing ADR because the physicality had already been shot in Finland. And I didn't really realize that I was only doing facial capture for that. So I had to match what a body was doing, but I never talked to that actor. So I didn't make those decisions. And maybe I wouldn't have done it that way if so we have to go, okay, hold everything. Now I have to match. This is the first time we're seeing this character, and I didn't choose any of that physicality. So now I have to somehow meet this halfway. And, these are like technical things that you have to use physical techniques to match and like to bridge, but we did it, we did it. And then it also, it helps, like, I had an idea for maybe what she was like, and then you see that and I'm like, oh shit, it's so different. Oh no, what do I do? And then I think I just went, can you play this on a loop? And everybody just like go get coffee. I kind of feel like I was like, let me just stare at this for a while. And then I just watched it on a loop like psychotically until I got it in my own body. And then I changed I think I changed some of the lyrics. What am I saying? Well, I need a coffee. Let's go get a coffee together. Speaking of, I'm going to make one while I talk to you.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I've like found a way to match, but it took a while to figure that out. So that was the first thing that I did. And then, but that also put me right into her. And I think that's also what made her a little bit more gruff than I thought she might be, was that initial physicality. But it's all such a cool challenge, and it's every game is different every time.
Yeah.
Every gig is different every time. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool.
It's insane because I would never figure out the fact that you just did facial capture and motion capture was done somewhere else. Because as anyone who's known now how games kind of captured, everybody would obviously assume like, okay, full motion body capture is done by you. So
yeah, and that's what I mostly do. Yeah. Like I mostly.
Janina talks about what she usually does in a video game that includes motion capture. However, for Alan Wake 2, she didn't have to do that. And she talks a little bit more about Alan Wake 2, what she does, and what game she also plays in the extended version of this episode. So you can watch that extended episode by becoming a member of the channel. When you become a member of the channel, you get perks such as early announcements for who's going to be the next guest. And if you have any questions for that guest, your questions will definitely be picked up, and some extra behind the scenes content as well. So if you want to support Behind the Voice podcast a little bit more, you can do that by becoming a member of the channel. Your support will really help me out to make sure that every single episode in the coming future is a little bit better and more professional, and I can continue to deliver that to you guys every single week. Was there someone, a character or somebody that you were drawing inspiration from in order to play Kiran, or was that something that just gradually happened?
So my brother works. My brother-in-law works in at the Treasury, and he has had various roles in, government security, and of course he can't tell me anything, and it's always very interesting to talk to him. I have grasped tiny little things along the way from him, and his outlook on this kind of work and keeping us all safe from things that we shouldn't even know about. So there's a lot of point of view that I've gathered from him that's in Kiran, I would say. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. It's always cool to know that some people, like actors, able to draw something in, and now it's part of the character. Like now it's in the character, and now that's how it's going to be, and that's how it's going to continue. But with the main game, as we get to see Kiran for the very first time, talk to me about going through that scene. Saga Anderson, you're stopping her, and you're taking Alan Wake with the FBC. How is that whole thing? How was that shot? What was talk me through how that happened.
Well, that specifically is the piece where they showed me video that had already, of the motion capture, the physical performance capture that had already been shot. And that was where I was like, okay, so that's done. And now I have to match to that. So I would say from the character's perspective, in that moment, she's walking up to Saga, and I think that Kiran has now seen so much and has made so many personal sacrifices. She lost her entire marriage over this. She's talking shit about her ex, but that Kiran fucked that up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Was not. That was not. It's probably more Kiran than her ex that fucked that up. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's easy to know that there are para-utilitarian people out there, and be able to walk through the world and just be normal with that knowledge. And if you can't tell your wife, that might not really be something that keeps you together easily, So I think that there is a part of Kiran in that moment when she meets Saga where she's like, save yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want to know. Kid, let me tell you, I don't even know, Kiran might be younger than Saga, who knows? But it doesn't matter. It's the life experience. Trust me when I tell you, you don't want to know.
True. Because once that happens, then there's no turning back. Now you know too much. Yeah. Yeah,
that moment she's like, congrats, you're deputized. There's no going back. It's too late.
Too late, yeah. And she does that, and she has no way to turn back now that she knows a lot of things, and especially what she has. But there's so much cool stuff in this game, and obviously musical becomes one of the biggest thing that surprised everybody.
So cool. Yeah.
It's too cool. And I didn't realize, or I didn't know.
I didn't know any of that was in the game. I didn't know that musical was in the game at all. Nobody told me. I was kind of trying to, especially with Remedy, I'm just maybe don't tell me everything, because I do, I had no idea that there was a full musical number that you could walk around. I had no idea. While I was playing it, I was I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. What? Oh my God, go the what? It just feels, I need the VR experience of that.
Yes.
That thing,
oh my God.
That whole musical number, give it to me in VR.
Oof, you are
Let me just
right.
text him really fast and we'll skip. Let me just text him, seriously.
This has to be a feature now. You just have to, if nothing else comes out, it has to be that musical in VR.
Okay, so I'm doing V's podcast. I'm just I just asked him, we were just saying that we would love to have the VR experience of the musical number in Alan Wake 2. How hard would it be to port that specific sequence to VR? We just want to know.
It's out there.
Let's just see.
Yeah, let's just see what happens. Oh my
Let's just see.
god. It's the best. I actually literally have saved a save file specifically just to like if I just want to go back,
Oh,
I can go to the
that's
save
so
file.
great. Oh, I should do that.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah. It's
That's such
always
a good
there.
idea.
It's like if I'm feeling a little bit odd, I'm like, I'm just gonna go to that musical. What's the whole thing? Play
I
it's
feel like
just
you could do that to the movie as well, like in the movie theater,
oh yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the whole short film. I feel
Whole
like
short.
that's another good save point too, just like a little extra save.
Oh yeah, I think there's. I'll add another safe point, and that is which is you are a part of that as well. Which is like the towards the very end, where the song where Saga Anderson as you're playing, you're fighting everybody, and there's this song of a dark ocean summoning, and you are providing ammo, and
Mhm.
Alex Casey. That's another safe point. It's such a cool moment. Another moment that I was like, okay, I'm not surprised. I just add more, please. You know, at this point, like just add keep on adding more musical. Do you remember that scene at all? Like on like was there something at that time? Did you realize like what that scene is going to be?
Uh, yes and no. It's hard because like if they haven't really built it out, you know, they show you like the projections of the area that you're in. So you kind of understand geographically because you also have to be like, am I shouting to this person? And then there's environment and all these kinds of things, you know? Um, but so and then the rest you just have to like fill in with your imagination but it doesn't it's never what you think. No, no, I was wrong. I was wrong. But yeah, what they had was so much cooler than what I dreamed up in my head. No surprise.
Must be it's crazy to just like if wish there was like a behind the scene footage that could show side by side. Here's behind the scenes footage where you're just imagining, thinking like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be a scene
Yeah.
like this, and in reality, it's like banger of a
It's
scene,
it's
fireworks, and
insane. I mean, it's the apex. Yeah, no, there's nothing. But that's also, you know, the most interesting part of it's one of the interesting parts of just the way games are made. You know, by the time that actors are brought in, it's pretty close to the end. But even then, there's still so much that has to happen that is built around you. And it's just so different than what you do on camera. Well, I mean, unless you're just in full green screen, which is a lot of, you know, things these days. But theater can sometimes be like that as well. You know, like if you're working in theater, you're just like walking around on these platforms and, you know, if somebody else is dreaming up what it's actually going to look like later. But that's why there are fundamentals to acting where you have to base it in the things that you know, because it doesn't matter if it's a 10-foot dragon, like the threat of something, it still gets pulled from something in your life that you know. You just have to replace it, you know?
it's just I'm just so happy that you've been part of this universe now, and you know, obviously people are always obviously expecting the Control 2. You have to be there, and it's already a done deal. Like Control 2, Kiran is there, and if that
I
is a
hope so.
that is a
I
possibility,
don't know.
would you? I mean, yeah, I think it's kind of
I'm
like
like talking over you. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I have no idea.
no problem.
I have no
I think
idea.
I think
No
it's pretty possible. But still, regardless, if it happens, let's say, would you be able to convince Sam to like put a musical where you are an active part of it?
I hope so. I mean, like I you know, play instruments and I started my life as a musician. So I sing and I, you know, used to make so much music. So I just have to remind him. I have to be like, listen, make me do this. What I would love actually is if Kiran is not a singer at all. Like she doesn't sing, but like there is some kind of thing that overtakes her, and then it does kind of create this thing, but she hates it. She's like, stop making me sing. You know, like she doesn't actually, because it's not her choice. You know?
You gotta bring
That's-
Alan Wake and write that stuff in her story. Like Alan,
Yeah.
God damn this guy. Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be good. But the expansion actually really connects with a very cool topic, and that is AI in a way, where it's like
Right.
showing like the horrific side of AI and how, and it's lovely how they're trying to mimic Alan Wake's writing. How important is it for you as a performer, as an actor, to be protected from AI, which is obviously here? So how important is that for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's here. It is here. Of course, I want to be protected. Thank God I have a union that is thinking about those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really scary. I don't have any answers to, or projections, but I am glad that people are thinking about it. At the same time, every single piece of technology that has come along has scared somebody. It's technology, but AI at this point is like saying, if you're like, I'm not going to use it. AI is such a large term. Also, people say that some things are AI and it's not AI. Like, people don't understand what it means. So there's like a little bit of media illiteracy around AI in general. But using no AI tools at this point is kind of like saying, I'm not going to use the typewriter. And it's like, okay, use it, but to educate yourself on its capabilities. And in terms of replacing art and artists, it's obviously very scary. At the same time, art has had new technology. I mean, the paintbrush is a piece of technology, So I have no answers. And sure, I'm scared of being replaced. But I do think that artists of the next generation will see these tools that us old people are scared of and use them to their advantages and become new kinds of artists in the way that they always have throughout time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad, as you mentioned, I'm so glad that there's a union who's actively working to hopefully bring that protection back in, because it's very important. And I ultimately support it. It's very important, and because it's taking away a lot of things. And a lot of things is going on, but hopefully things can turn back around. Hopefully there is something that can protect everyone. You guys can continue to do the best things that you do to deliver some of the best work that you've done, which AI they can't really at this point. So yeah.
I mean, at this point it can't. No. And
Right.
I love the themes. I mean, no spoilers to anybody who hasn't played the expansion, the Lake House expansion yet. But one of the things I talked to Zach, who's a writer at Remedy, about was like, Kiran is very conflicted even when she's talking to these paintings, because objects of power are like, they kind of have a life of their own. Art is powerful. It's to be respected. I think when you work at the FBC, you understand these things, that there are objects that have souls. And when even something that is a mangled piece of art, she has empathy for it because of everything she's seen. And I just think there's a lot of really beautiful themes there, like questioning what is human, where is the soul, what is the power of art, and even if it's been reduced to a mangled bit of nothing, like, does it still have a soul? I don't know. But there are rules for a reason, and everybody should be following them. Yeah.
We'll get back into the conversation in just a few seconds, because I have a very, very important announcement to make. On December 3rd, I'll be hosting a charity live stream event right here on YouTube called Game Fest Game Awards, where we will be celebrating video games as well as supporting Stand Up to Cancer for their cancer research. The event will have special guests such as actors from games like Cyberpunk 2077, Alan Wake 2, Final Fantasy 16, Valorant, Overwatch, and much more. You can click the link in the description to vote for 16 nominations, and the voting window is open till only 24th November. So go vote right now, and I'll see you guys on December 3rd right here on YouTube. And now let's jump back into the conversation. One of the cool things in the expansion that everybody was hoping or was waiting is the connection, I guess, or a teaser to Control, the next game. And there was a teaser for the next Control game, which was I just love how everything was built around. When you first saw that, after playing the game, what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, when I was back when I found out, when I said the line, like, there's like a line that's like, note about
Yeah.
like hanging light bulb cords or whatever it is, like pull it 3 times. I was like, oh shit, are we going to the hotel? Like, that's what I said in the booth. I was like, are we going to go back to the motel? We're going back. Yes. Like, that's so exciting. I can't wait. I mean, I'm like going to carve some time. I'm just going to play all the way through Control again. I'm so excited.
Yes. It's the same feeling for me. I'm like, you showed it. I'm going to replay it again.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's just.
Do you call Control horror?
I don't know.
Is Control a horror game?
I think there are horror elements to it. I believe so. But I'll still call it a little bit of action horror-ish thing. I don't even know how to really call it what.
Yeah, I mean, Alan Wake is horror.
Alan Wake 1 is very action with some horror elements. Yeah. Alan Wake 2 would be more survival horror purely.
I feel like it's survival horror. Yes. I don't know what Sam would say about any of these things. I'm just theorizing with you. But Control feels like a dark action adventure with high strangeness, but I don't think it's like horror.
Yeah, I know. I don't think it's horror. I think it's like sci-fi action with some horror elements to it, because there's elements for sure, but it's more sci-fi-ish, action-y.
Yeah, okay, game. I guess so.
Yeah. And I think that's what's going to be. I think so. That's how it's going to stay in the next game, because with Alan Wake 2, they thought of like, let's go with horror now, because Alan Wake 1 had elements of it. You can, like, if anybody who has not played horror games per se that much, if they play Alan Wake 1, they'll be scared. But
sure. Yeah.
But it's still very actiony. However, Alan Wake 2, they went with that survival horror, which kind of made sense. But I'm not so sure with Control 2 what they're gonna do with it. It would be fun if they kind of went there. It'd be interesting.
I mean, I love it when it's all creepy. I'm into the creepy. Yes. But I guess one of the reasons I'm saying this is because I want to play Control with somebody who can't handle. He's just like a little baby about horror, and so I'm like, no, this one's not horror. You're gonna like it. Like, just sit here and I'll play through and you'll be fine. I'm like trying to talk him into sitting through Control so I can play through it all. No, it's fine. It's not horror.
It's not horror.
It's not even scary.
It's not scary. It'll be fine.
It's even dark. It's like you fight with a fridge at some point. Like, it's like whatever.
Yeah, you fight with a fridge. Yeah. Magneto at any point in time, just throw things. Just like So it's an action.
It's fun. That's one of the things that somebody in a stream was saying, like, I gotta lug this like big battery around and like move it. I'm like, yeah, you're not a para-utilitarian.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta move shit with your hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You gotta walk from here all the way over there and don't get killed by paint monster.
Monsters, yeah. I like how she was complaining, like, why do they make these things heavy? I'm like, oops. You're not the one. You need to get to be para-utilitarian. Yeah. You're not there yet.
Yeah.
But, wow. It does. There's so many moments, obviously, in the lake house. And one that I really like towards the end when Kiran is like, fuck this. I'm done. Like, when the final boss fight happened. The line is, typical fucking Mormons, and he just goes with it, and it kind of sums the whole scene up. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I also love that she's great at her job and she hates paperwork, but she'll do it because it's the right thing to do. But, she's also like pleased when she can be on the right moral side of things and not have to do paperwork.
Yeah.
True.
Absolutely. Wow. It's really fun to, again, as I said, it's really fun to see the story of Kiran, what really happened and how it all comes together, and people can now experience the whole thing. but it's kind of like one of the lines where she says, where she always finds these cases. It's never easy, and it's never easy to do. It's less ambiguous, but the one that she went through was tough. Was there any prior work that you have done as an actor which was tough for you, even though you have known the challenges of acting?
Oh gosh. Almost every job is tough in its own way. Acting is a very human experience. And, like Kiran, I've been doing this for a while. Like Kiran, I've seen a lot of shit. And like Kiran, I'm over it. There are a lot of people in Hollywood that are full of shit and lazy, or who think that they're different than everybody else and are entitled, and you still have to show up and work with them and look them in the eye and be very vulnerable. And it's very human work. So when another human wants to be an asshole, it makes the 100 people around that person have a tough day. And it happens all the time. So, yeah, I've been through some tough stuff. Also, I mean, there's no secret here. Hollywood as an industry is in absolute despair right now. So there are a lot of really good people that are hurting. And so, it's not easy. We get to talk about all the fun stuff when we come to do interviews, but most of the time it's grueling, or you're hoping that something goes well, or hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on something, and then people get mad about the loot boxes, and then the thousands of artists that poured themselves into working on something for a decade get shat on because of one decision that somebody's trying to keep the lights on with. It's like these things happen all the time. And it's tough. But, just keep going.
Yeah, true. It is tough. There's a lot of things that happens, and it happens everywhere. I think, and even in games, especially in games, and like that obviously have such more connected to the community, who is amazing online. And who talk like all these complaints and all that stuff. It's crazy how there's no in the next second they just turn around and be like, yep, it's their problem, because of them this is shit or bad. And I'm like, well, they worked on it for the last 4 or 5 years, and now it's gone. So yeah.
Yes, but all of that being said, it's also a privilege to have people complain about the thing you made.
True.
You still got to make a thing.
Yeah. Right.
Like it's there are millions of artists all around the world that will never be able to actually be a part of an industry, and they'll just be an artist in their own room, and that's just as valid. But if you're lucky enough to ever get feedback, whether it's good or bad, that alone is a privilege. It is.
Yeah, that's right. And you gotta go with that. Yeah. You've been part of some really incredible games in the past, like one of the ones that you actually sang in, and the whole full musical was Stray Gods, and it's such a cool, fun game. I loved every single second of it. How different was that experience for you to work in a game which is like there's a lot of musical sections in it as compared to any other project?
That was very cool and hard, but awesome. There was no performance capture or facial capture in that. So it was all voice. And I was working with, Troy and Laura. I'm obsessed with Laura Bailey. She's the most talented actor on the planet. So transformational, obsessed with her. But I had all of my music, and I came in and I was like prepared. And it was great to go back to that era of my life, being like a little musical theater kid, but also on that one, I realized that Laura and I have kind of the same natural register of speaking. So I had to change where I sat or the kind of like rhythm and staccato of my voice to be able to distinguish ourselves from each other. So it was very interesting to like figure out where I fit, what crayon in the box I should be, you know? I loved that. I loved it. What a freaking cool game. Stray Gods.
Oof.
When they told me about that, I was like, y'all are geniuses. I have to ask Sam, has he played Stray Gods? Especially as like he's so into music.
Yeah, he's so much into music.
Have you played Stray Gods yet? Question.
I believe he might have. Must be. I don't know because it's so much.
He hasn't told me about it. Yeah, but that's the funny thing. Like, but the man is so busy, so he might not have actually had time. Yeah, I'll ask him. But yeah. I loved working on Stray Gods. And then they did this cool day where they performed some of the songs.
So good.
The coolest.
I was like, because when they announced it, I was like, I'm watching that for sure. Like I'm missing it. It was so good that because I know like Austin Wintry with the music and all, it was just everything was so cool. Anjali Vimani was also part of it. So
have you talked to her yet? Have you interviewed her yet?
Oh, yeah. She was actually my first interviewer.
So I've known her for over 20 years.
Wow.
She's like a dear friend.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Talk about a talent. Oh,
talk about a talent. She is incredible. So knowing that so many talented actors are part of this game, Rahul Kohli was in it, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the game I have to play. And everything just goes in such a cool rhythm. And the song that hits, I think a lot of people, including me, is the Only If song, which is so good.
Oh, I cried. I used to cry so much with that one. Yeah. But I can't sing when I cry. Like my throat just goes. Like some people can like sing so beautifully when they cry. I'm like, what? How do you have tears going down your face while you're crying, but you're singing beautifully? My whole throat just goes, and I just get so tragedy. Anyway.
Yeah, it's just such a cool song. What actually goes into performing a song like that, which is that it's going to be having that emotional strings to it attached to it? How do you go by with that?
Oof. I don't think it's any different than planning a scene. I think that you also can't. I don't like to go, and this is the part where I cry. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just going to do the work, which is you walk into a scene knowing everything that's happened to you beforehand, what you need in a scene, and the stakes of what you want, and the rest just sort of happens. That's like the most lame answer. It's like there's only so much you can plan, but there's like fundamentals for a reason, because you can't overplan, otherwise it's not organic, and then it's just like so false.
Yeah, I think it just shows how incredibly talented you are, even as a singer, because it just blends in, and it's just so cool to just listen to. Everybody's just a fan of what you have done, what everybody else has done, specifically for that game, and it continues because you have been part of so many incredible games. Star Wars, you mentioned before. It's just a cool whole story of your character. Iden Versio is so cool. It just everything looks amazing, and because you got to be part of interact with characters like Han Solo and Leia in the game, which is like whoa, because I didn't expect them to be there, so I was like whoa. So how was it for you knowing that okay, we have I have a character, obviously I'm Iden, but I'm interacting with Han Solo. There's Leia as well. The Star Wars video game. How was that?
Well, it's all wild, You're just like, holy shit, I'm in it. I'm the protagonist of this thing. This is my story. Holy shit. But almost everything in Star Wars is like a family drama. Always, it is sort of like Shakespearean in its own way, and if you're lucky, you have a family, which means you also know the drama and you know the depths, like the primordial feelings you have for the people in your family, good or bad. So you bring it to the scenes very easily. I mean, in this case, it was like she clearly has some daddy issues.
Yep.
And like the sadness of realizing that your parent, the person that you love the most, has it so wrong is something that a lot of people experience in their lives. Many people grow up. I'm American, so we're going through some stuff in this country, and there are plenty of families that are divided, and a lot of times kids grow up and go, wait, you support who? But that you have it wrong. And it's deeply unsettling. It makes you question everything that you've grown up around. It's like, it's deep shit. So that was her story, and that's just real. You just like take it from something real in your life and then you just run with it, and then it works. But I didn't really answer your question on the Han Solo stuff. You can't get caught up in that. Like you go, oh, this is so fucking cool. And then you just get to work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. It's
You have
just,
to like put the geek aside for a second and go, okay, but you're not helpful right now. So I'm going to party with you later, but I'm going to go do this thing. Okay, bye. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It must be so cool to get to be a part of that game, because obviously you have to take that side out, like the incredible excitement away, get this through, and then can you come back in for a little bit, and then can you go out for the next few hours. It's just so cool because everything, and that game came out almost 8 years ago or 6 years ago. Which is
7 years ago.
Yeah, 7 years ago. It still looks so good. And the story and everything just beats everything, works so well. And I love that.
That's nice to hear.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you think that.
Oh yeah, there's so many people actually. When I announced you as a guest on socials, everybody was like, "Hey, did you know that she plays in Star Wars game?" I'm like, of course. Everybody was like, "You gotta ask her about that," and I'm like, "Of course." There's no question, because the performance is so good, and I love the switch and everything, how the story goes and progresses. Loved it. It was like one of my favorite Star Wars games. So it was really, really fun to see that you nailed it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And you've been part of video games for so long. I think more than 10 years. How has it been for you, especially as someone who loves video games, to be also a part of video games, playing these wonderful characters?
I mean, listen, it is a dream. And the thing that's becoming even cooler in this side of my life is I got asked to consult on a game over half a decade now. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And I actually knew what way I could be of value. I don't like sort of like inserting myself if I don't think I can be of value. Just my ADHD doesn't work, and then I just feel sort of stupid, and then I'm just like, why am I here? But it was a really great experience, and I got to pull people into that project that were right for it. So I started doing more of that. And now I've worked with indies and AAA studios on the consulting side, all on the narrative front, but also like helping build pipelines of talent to fill in holes in places that maybe they need a little bolstering. So it's like on the casting side, on the, like just really more narrative stuff. And in those games, I'm coming in so early that I'm starting to see the development process from a very, very early stage. So that is actually cooler than the acting part.
With that, I think there's a lot of people who had a few questions that wanted to ask you, some fan questions.
Oh, sure.
All right, so let's shoot it with the first being from Angel Lopez. They asked, how is working on movies or a TV show like True Blood differ from acting in a medium like video games?
Oh gosh, they're so different. So I would say the number one difference is vanity. There is no vanity in games. you cannot think about what you look like because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There are dots all over your face, and you cannot hide behind makeup and hair and lighting and costumes, and none of that matters. And because of that, a lot of television and film actors just can't hack it.
Yeah.
But a lot of theater actors can.
Yeah.
And it's the most freeing. The thing that terrifies some people is the most freeing part of the experience for most of the people who end up working in games.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's true. That's wonderfully explained, and I love that. And I think now a lot of people get to know about like how the differences are, and it's always fascinating to see how things always go. Next question is from Plate Form. They asked whether you knew about Remedy, including their games and Sam Lake. Did you know about Remedy and Sam Lake and everything about what Remedy has done? Did you know about it beforehand? Which I think you obviously did.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So Quantum Break was the first game you played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you didn't know before that. I didn't know about. Did you know about Alan Wake before that, or is that after?
I think I had heard of it, but for some reason, it wasn't the first game I played. I obviously did to prep for Alan Wake 2, but the first Remedy game that I played was Quantum Break.
Quantum Break. It's a fantastic game. I wish that game can come back, and in some way, shape, or form, it needs to have a sequel. Shawn Ashmore.
You never know.
Yeah,
I know.
Sean is like, we gotta
Sean's
get to
great.
Sean is great.
I just got to hang out with him for one day. We did like a press day for Alan Wake 2, and he's great. He's great.
It's great. I love the guy, and I'm hoping that if at any point in time I can get to him to the show, it would be great. But that's
I'll tell him.
Appreciate that.
I'll tell him right now, just so I don't forget.
The next question is from Zyla the Silkwing. They ask, how do you feel about Kiran's dynamic with other characters in the game, especially with Saga?
I really like it. You know, they wrote a person who has lived a lot of life, and she has a very different point of view than Saga. So, and even the way that she's like commiserating about the exes, you know, she's there's a lot there to play with, and I just hope we get to see a lot more of her, because I'm interested to see the way that she talks to other human beings and pulls information out of them as well.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. And I think one of the questions that people wanted to know, like one of the questions here already, was what would you like to see Estevez go in Control 2 in the next game, or whatever game that might come next?
Well, I also don't even know like who's left at the FBC. Like how many agents are there on the planet? I don't know these things yet, right? So like I don't know who's in charge. I don't know where she is in the hierarchy of things. I want to see all of that, but I also want to I really want to see the toll that it's taken on Kiran. I want to go home with her a little bit. I want to see the sacrifice.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be something interesting to see what's happening.
That's because that's one of the things I like the most about Kiran. She's not like, fuck yeah, let's take him down. She's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
This is terrible. Right. I don't want to do this, but who else is going to do this? So it's going to be me. And I like that point of view.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see what happens next. Next question is from El Revzi El Direco. Definitely pronouncing that name wrong. What will Estevez's reaction be when she finds out that Jesse is the new director, or Dylan is his brother?
I don't know. I don't want to make any
assumptions.
Because hopefully I'll get to see what, I don't know. I have no idea if I'm a part of anything in the future, guys. Like obviously I want to be a part of every single thing, but I have no idea. I think it's going to be great to have a parent utilitarian in charge. I think it's helpful. But she's also kind of new. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like ability versus experience. I don't know. I don't know how she's gonna to feel about that.
Yeah. I'm just interested to know or to see what the dynamic between her and Jesse would be like when she finally understands, like, oh, I don't know what that interaction would be like because I don't know what she would be feeling at that moment. It'd be very interesting.
I mean, I think that Kiran has a lot of wisdom just because of her experience. So I think there's that, but also she clearly is just like happy to see anybody capable around,
Yeah, sure.
So I think she'll be happy to take the help, like, I think that's
Absolutely.
it's not like she's going to be jealous of somebody's title. You know what I mean? Like she's not going to, I don't think she cares. I don't think she cares.
Yeah. I think she definitely needs like, okay, there's somebody there. There's that backup that I require. Yes, let's go for it. I'm happy that there's somebody there. But yeah, so it's going to be so cool. And last question is from Ninth Raven. They asked, if you were given a time machine, found out you found out that you became an FBC agent in the future, what would you say?
If I went back and whispered to myself as I was playing Control, you're going to play an FBC agent, I think that there would have been a little part of me, because I love Control so much, that I would have been like, that feels correct. Like, yeah, I'm ready for that. Yeah. Like I could, I think like when I was playing, I was so into the world that I was like, yeah, I fit in this, yeah, but I don't think you can explain to anybody, if the FBC was real, it's very hard to make the jump from, I don't know how you ease somebody into all of those things. I mean, that's what Control is, right? You have to be, you're like, wait, what? What? So I just don't think I'd believe that. I'd be like, okay, I can imagine some things, but
yeah. It's gonna be the reaction. Like, sure.
but I do think like if me now was whispering to me playing the game at the time, I would have been like, yeah, let's fucking go. Let's do that. I want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it so cool that Estevez is actually mentioned in Control, like in notes?
Yes. Yes. It's so cool. It's so cool.
It's been there.
Because it's just that connected,
Yeah, it's just that connected. And I'm just in love with how it's this. I believe this is the only, maybe not, but I still believe like Remedy has done this amazing connected universe in such a way that I was like, it's in video games finally. Everything is connected. It's in the horror section. And it's just brilliant. And I just cannot wait to see what's up.
And it's the kind of world where, like we were saying before, like the players really value the lore. Yeah. So it's built in such a way where it's not lost on people. It's integral to gameplay.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you.
Talking to me about all of this. It's so cool.
Thank you.
You were one of the people I just really wanted to have in the show because of Alan Wake. And I was like, I have to, because I've been talking to all these other wonderful people from the game, including Sam Lake, which has been insane. So it's just a pleasure.
Nappy, of course. Your podcast is great. You put a lot of work into it. It's very clear.
Thank you.
And you're doing a great job. And I'm honored to be number 87.